Hi, guys, and welcome to the first episode of the Yes You podcast.
The podcast where we're putting you back in community. I'm Emily.
And I'm Evie, and I am beyond excited. We have
Oh my
been
god.
literally talking about this for it's only been 10 days, really. It's only been 10
No,
days.
it's so quick.
But
But
the talk of all this and more of community of everything has been ongoing for us.
yes,
So
it
I'm
has.
super excited. I'm just
This is such a good moment to do it too. I know we are both people that we love to create, and I think that's what I love most about you, and I think that's why our relationship works so well, and why we're doing this really, because we just love creating, we love doing things. So I think this is so perfect. um Yeah, Evie. How's it
yes.
going? How's it hanging?
It's girl. The lead up, the build up to all of
Yeah.
this has I think that's been the craziest part.
Hmm.
Just being like we can do this. Like this is
Yes.
happening and this is our we did it episode. If you guys can see
Yes.
it there. This is our we did it episode. So there's so many things that we have done collectively
Yep.
but individually that we share so many common interests whether it be poetry, music. If you want to get into that a little bit, Emily, what is that for you? Like, what is just your passions?
Honestly, it's something that I've had in my life for literally ever. Like, I remember being, like when little kids stay up at night with the little flashlight under the covers. Like, that was
Hmm.
me writing Roses are red, violets are blue. You're pretty and I love you. That was literally in
I
my
love
journal. That was me writing poetry at like 3 a.m. And it's always been something that I didn't kind of like conceptualize at first. It was just something that I did. And it
that.
wasn't
Mm.
until like I, started following, poets and I started to like do it on an everyday basis that it became something so solid in my life and something that I've been, doing for a while now. And so, what about you? What do you feel that poetry is to you and stuff?
Everything life. Honestly, it's more than I think it's more than an expression at this point. It's like literally a way of life. Everything
Oh
has
yeah.
meaning, and I feel like poets are dramatic. I'm dramatic. Everything
Yes.
has a story. Like we're the most
Yes.
dramatic people
And bingo.
because everything can be dramatized. Like, but
Yes.
everything has meaning, right? So writing that
Yes.
out, and I think watching watching my sister do like spoken word and her
Hmm.
friends like get up at an open mic and I was like, wow, that is something that is pretty cool. Like you can express yourself in a way that's not just talking. It is
Yes.
storytelling.
That
And
is.
poetry is that. It's like storytelling. It's like giving a testimony about whatever experience. And that for me started I want to say it was like 14. And then I've had
Mhm.
it like in the back burner for a long time, but it wasn't
Yeah.
until I want to say 2020. I was like, I'm starting Sunny Poems, and Sunny Poems is like my journal, my virtual journal, where
Yeah.
I'm just posting and putting videos out there because why not? And so I know
Yeah.
you as well. Emily has a
I
page, guys.
know. I just started my page, All My Love Athena, and it's been something that Evie has yelled at me for, a while now to start
A
it.
long
And
time. A long
so
time.
I did, and it's something that I think, like, again, we're both people that we like to have things done. And so, like, we have so many ideas in our brain, but like putting it out there is something that we both love. And so, starting it was something like, it was very personal to me. And it was stuff that my main goal was to just everything that I've collected over my life, like all the poems, all the stories,
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
that I've felt, I want to put it out there now that I'm older. And I think that's such like a healing thing, really, because it's stuff that it was written in like your, old bedazzled glittery, notebook
Mm.
when you were like 7, and now it's like published on Instagram for like everyone to see. Like I feel like it's a very cathartic kind of thing. um and I'm proud of like very like both of us, because I think that we both have so much to say, and like you said, we're very dramatic. And so I think our pages are something just so they're so special, and it's something that I'm very passionate about, and yeah, so go follow both our pages. All My Love Athena
Yes.
and Funny Poems, please do.
Sunny Poems and All of My Love
But
Athena for the win. It's been so
yes.
cool. Honestly, guys, also poetry and all these gifts and like these outlets, they are not just if someone does it, it doesn't mean you can't do it. I think it's something I had in my mind for a long time. Like,
Mhm.
oh, someone's already doing that. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And me and Emily had this conversation before, like, oh, I know you have a page. I'm like, girl, you better start that page
Yeah.
because it is our it is our outlet. Like, why not?
Yes.
Like, there's no other time than now. So if you're like thinking of
Yeah.
doing something, whether it be podcast or website or poetry or I don't know, art, whatever that is, music. Yes,
Yeah.
everybody is doing it. But
Yeah.
you're the one that makes it different, right? So
Right. And I think
just
that's
so
so
crazy.
special too. Like having people in your circle that have started it and you can build off of that. Like honestly, I
Exactly.
would have never done it if somebody else didn't do it. Like, and I think that's it's not always the mentality to have. Like it's, always start it because, you want to, but I think it's something so special having people in your corner that can give you advice, that can, you know, hey, like I used to do this. Like you want to start doing
Mm,
this? Like it's so
exactly.
important to have people in your circle that have experience doing things that are scary and can help you do things that are scary. So, if anyone, honestly, reach out to us because we have a lot of advice to give, but also like reach out to your friends. If you have a page already, reach out to your friends who are, doubting themselves. I think it's so special and really like heartwarming when someone like reaches out to you and like, hey, like I want to help you with this. I think that's so, and
Right.
hello, that's what we're doing here. Poets, artists, singers,
Yes.
we all want to like collaborate. That's what we're doing it for each other. And so I think that's like very special. But I did want to talk about um like how we first met and
Right.
our whole story because I think that's it's who we are is who we are is who we used to be. So,
Oof.
Evie, tell us.
Yes.
Tell me.
Well, okay, guys. Literally, if I had to tell you the day, I don't remember it. But exactly like the day. I remember the
Yeah.
year, I remember the season. I remember this everything in my life is
Yeah.
by seasons at this point. Again, with the dramatization, but
Yeah.
I remember it was literally in 2020, a big transition period for everybody. Come
Mhm.
on,
Mhm.
COVID, isolation,
Yeah.
but it was a transition period in my life where we started attending the same church,
Mhm.
and I joined the worship team, and
Woo.
Emily was on the worship team too.
Yeah.
But we literally, I didn't know how young she, first of all, Emily is younger than me, but I didn't
Mhm.
realize because you're
Yeah,
so
I'm 7 years
mature.
old. Yeah. My
No, she's
bachelor's
not.
born. That's my birth certificate.
She's not 7,
No, but
but it
mhm.
feels like we're the same person in a different font.
Oh yeah. Oh,
So talking to
100%.
her, 100% right. So talking to her didn't feel like I was talking to someone younger than me. It felt like this girl has been through so much and she's so wise. Like and so I literally remember her telling me like, "Oh, I'm inviting you to my 15th or my 16th birthday." And I was like, "You're what?" Like I didn't understand how, but we literally met through church, through worship, through the worship team. And ever since then, just talking and being in conversation, and we just realized like, "Oh my goodness, we have so much more in common than we thought." And it
Mhm.
just from there, it formed a beautiful sisterhood that I'm so grateful for, and I'm so grateful for
Yeah.
you.
Aw.
Not just because we share the same passions, but we have a lot
Mhm.
of similar views when it comes to community and when it comes to um, just everyday things, not just
Yeah.
regarding religion, but mental health and on all these things
Yeah.
that are so important. But I know
Yeah.
Emily knows more about that day than me, so.
I okay. También, I don't even know. I won't be able to tell you exact date and time, but I do know it was like a youth service, and I was telling you about it. But I remember we had like gotten down from like worshiping, and I think it was like my first worship service on like a youth service. And mind you, like my parents had gone to this church to, be pastors. And I, in the point in my life was I'm going to be the most mysterious, most like I have no friends, I hate everybody. I was really in my mysterious era. And
You were your
so I
reputation
remember,
era.
yes, my reputation era. And I remember like we were sitting down in like one row and we all had taken a picture together and I wanted to like post her and like I gave her my phone. I'm like, "Hey, like can you like write like your Instagram so like I can like tag you?" And she wrote it. And then I think I didn't post it till like after the service and then your like tag was like gone and I didn't know how to spell your name. So I literally spent like 30 minutes trying to find you on Instagram and then I finally found you and then, I tagged you and whatever. And I think that was like the first day that we kind of started like, obviously
Right.
met. Um and then I think just after that we just like kept on, with worship and you were in your blonde and then your redhead era and then I was just
So
like
many
this
eras.
girl is so cool. I oh my god, Evie, like I literally was obsessed with you. I thought you were like
I
so, and you still
can't.
are very, like I literally used like, oh my god, this cool redhead, like she's super like sweet and like she's super like Instagrammy, like she's such like she's so good like social media manager, like that was it. And
I
so
can't with
I just
you.
remember that.
It
No,
was like
but
the anxiety era. I was dyeing my hair every 3 months. I had platinum blonde. I went from like
yes.
I was a ginger to a brunette, back to highlights.
Yeah.
Like it was just a very costly time of my life. But I'm glad that Emily thought. I'm glad that you thought, Emily, that I was the coolest person ever. I thought you were the coolest person. I still think
No, I
that.
for real.
Um,
No,
but
and like I always saw you like posting and you were going everywhere and you were traveling and like and I remember you went on like a trip by yourself and I was like, I want to be here so bad. I want to be here so bad. And no, I've always looked up to you and like you're just such an inspiration. And I know we're like 12 minutes in. I'm in and then I'm just fawning over you. But no, I think I
no,
do remember throughout the course of our relationship, I remember like one night, it was like after church service, and we were standing outside, and you just started telling me about, poetry. And that was like when we first like clicked. I was like, oh my God, like, wait, like, I also like love poetry. And we just started
mm-hmm.
going like back and forth about our stories and whatever. And I remember telling you about um, a church service that I went to and how this guy that I've never known before, like ever, um, and he like told me this was like I think the first time that I was telling you this, I told it like very briefly because I wasn't trying to weird
Yes.
you out. But I was
No,
like,
no,
yeah,
no.
this like random man came up to me and like he was telling me about like you have books on your shelves filled with poems and those are
Come
songs.
on. Yeah, yeah.
And I cried. I was sobbing that day. And it was a revival service and it was so good. And then like I just remember telling you that like the first time and you told me about like you I think you had your page by that time and you were telling me about like
Right.
poetry and then I think that's when I followed your page at first and I found it. And do you remember that time like afterwards we went to Chili's after a
Oh
conference
my
for church.
gosh.
And yeah, tell us about that. What happened?
Yes,
What's
guys,
going
I
on?
cannot explain the craziness because God knows He's up to something all the time.
Yeah.
We literally had a break. We were also together doing worship for one of our conferences, and it was our both of our first times. I think it was the first year. It's also the first year the
Mhm.
conference was held. So crazy,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
first year ever of this conference. Emily and I are invited. We're freaking out. We have our little badge for this, that, and the next. We
Oh
go
my
on
god,
to a
we were
break.
so nervous.
We
Oh,
were so nervous. I remember asking Emily, like, how do you feel? And we are like expectant. Like we were like, we don't even know what to
yes.
say. And I remember we went on our break and it was we were with a few friends and Emily's telling me the same story. Like she's telling me, she let it now we're more comfortable. So she's telling me the full thing. And she's
Yeah.
like, I got
This
a
was yeah.
word. Like it's the whole
We
thing.
literally
And we're like, this is amazing. Like a friend of ours, she was just like, wow, that was so crazy. So we tell the story. We're at Chili's with the 2 for 25. We're literally like getting it.
we're
And
eating it up. just having
Right.
girl talk.
Yes, and we're just, this is a prophetic moment, listening to worship on the way back. It was awesome. We get to the service, they're still worshiping, and then we're sitting in the last row.
Yeah.
The
We
last row. The
were
last shall
like,
be first at this point.
oh my god. And you know what's funny? I remember like two things. I remember when we were like at the Chili's, I remember it was like the whole thing was that like he called me by name. And then I remember you shared the story like, oh, like
Yes.
yeah, I was called by name. And then we walk in and it's like super we can't see anything. We don't even know where we're walking. And then yeah, that's when we get to like the back row. And like
Yes.
Richard was amazing, mind you. We was
Right.
having time. And
And
then
literally. But when we had sat down after that, like moment, because we weren't worshiping when we got back, right? We just were like, it was still going on. Like they had just
mhm,
started back after our break. So when we had sat down is when it got crazy. And from
yeah.
there, like the pastor was preaching, he was going off, and me and Emily are, we're just, we're just receiving.
We are, yes, we were writing notes. It was just we're minding our own business, but also like we were receiving, and yeah, and then like
Literally, that's when he literally goes off to say, call us by name, just like how we were saying. And
mhm,
he just goes, he calls out our leader, our youth leader, and our youth pastor. And he says, God has given you two Nicoles. And in my mind, I'm like, my middle name is
God,
Nicole, but I'm not gonna say nothing. Because, you know, it could be
and
someone else, God. Like, take the
yes,
humble seat.
I was literally like, oh my god, I know so many Nicoles. I was listing Nicoles in my mind, but me. I did not click in my mind that my middle name was Nicole. Even though, like, literally from young, I've always been. I hated when people call me Emily. When I was like little, I only wanted people to call me Nicole. And in that moment, I was like, damn, like I know, like, oh yeah, like that Nicole and like this Nicole, and I didn't even like think that it was about you and me. And
Right.
then we need to rewatch the video because it was like,
That
oh
video
my
is
god,
what I have to watch to remind myself that there's a purpose for everything.
oh my god, yes,
In that video, he says there's two Nicoles, and then he goes on to say Evelise and Emily. Is
it,
Evelise and Emily here? And we looking at
I was
each other like, oh my gosh. We
like,
ran up.
us,
When we walked up there, like it was just like we were there and no one else was there.
yes, oh my
And just
gosh,
the words that were being poured out over us that we knew in our hearts, but that were being confirmed.
yes,
And it was just such a special moment for, I know for individually so special, but together, like not
yeah,
even, I don't even think I think I knew her middle name was Nicole, but I wasn't even thinking of Emily. Like I was thinking of everybody
yeah,
else. And it's like when that's just our personality, like always thinking about everyone else and not yourself. And
yes,
taking
that's
that moment, but it was just so insane. And I was like,
mhm,
you know what, this calling is bigger, like it's bigger
yeah,
than that moment. It was bigger than what we were there for. And it
yes,
just spoke onto like what we want to do even for this podcast, like just
yeah,
about unity and like
oh, so
leading
true,
and so many things. um
yeah, and
and
I
God
I
didn't
think
say it like directly, like the way that maybe we
no.
would have thought he did, but he said it perfectly the way we needed it in that moment.
Amen. Yeah. And I think like what solidified it for me was like just how everything happened. Like us getting there late, us like and then like you see like again, that whole service was amazing. Like youth getting saved, youth getting healed. Like that was so miraculous. And then sitting down and I remember thinking like like God, like I haven't heard from you in a while. And I know like it's
Mm,
this we always talk to God every day and we, have time
right.
with him every day, but it's different when you're like it's like translated in words to you. And I remember feeling like I haven't heard from you in a while. And the fact
Mm,
that it was like up to that moment, I think like we were close and like we had that was like in October of 2021
yes, it
and
was.
it was like right before exactly right before my sweet 16. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember like we were like close and I don't think we had ever had a moment like that, like where it was referencing us together. Like obviously individually, like always there for each other, always like having moments. But the first time where it was like together, we were like called out by God, like Evie and Nicole, like both of them are the leaders. And I think that was
Right.
so special to me because it was like I and I've told you before, like I was in my mysterious era. I was trying to like nobody. I was trying to be, and I think it was like that first time it was like, God is not just going to place friends in your in your corner, but he's going to have those friends be in your corner for a long time. Like you're supposed
Well,
to be
yeah.
doing great things together. And I think it's
Mm.
different when it's like you have friends that like support you and like you text every once in a while or like like kind of like long distance friends like quotation marks, but friends that you actually do life together, do ministry together, like it just hits different. And I think that was the first time where it was like, that's my girl. Like that is Evilise
Right.
Nicole and then Nicole taking over the world. That was it. And so no, but and then it's like ever since that moment, like we've had so many dreams together, so many
Mhm.
like moments where it was like God was in the room and we were like in the freaking like I'm FaceTiming you and I'm in the living room, you're in your room, and like God is showing us miraculous things. And I think that's so crazy. Um yeah. And I'm like I'm still so in awe like how God has placed up to this moment, like with our poetry pages, with this what we're doing here, the podcast. I think it's been so intentional. Um and the support that we've gotten, like
Right.
even before
A
release, like
lot.
guys, y'all are crazy. What are you
So
talking about? We
crazy.
have so much support and so many people loving on us even before we do anything. And it's just like all I can say right now is like God, like wow.
Yes, for sure.
And I think that's just so special. And I think one of the things that I did want to like very much say is um, just to like people out there who are thinking about, starting a podcast or starting pages and just using the gifts that God gave you, like to do the most with it and to, give God the glory. I think what advice would you give to those people? Because, there's a lot that we've gone through, and I think we have a lot to share and a lot to say. So, what advice would you give to those people?
Honestly, would be like we always say, to do it scared, but
Yes.
to not regret it and to not stop, because you never
Mhm.
know how
Yeah.
many people are counting on you. And I know there was like a poem. I love a good poem that Rupi, like that I have on my wall that Rupi has, and it says there's communities within you, right? And
Yeah.
so what we want to create here is more than, it's not just a podcast that you listen to, but that
Mhm.
and that, okay, like, yes, listen to this podcast and share it, but that you're like, wow, this person did this and I can do it too. And
Yeah.
because they were able to do it with their circumstances, that doesn't mean that means that I have a chance, and that there's communities within everything that you do. And so don't take it lightly, even if one person is watching. I think I get always so discouraged on the like or the view count, and that is
Yeah.
so minuscule to what God has planned. A lot of the times I find
Mhm.
myself posting a Monday motivation and there's like 30
Yeah.
likes, but then there's that one person that DMs me and is like, that was for me. And so
Oh,
you
that's
never know. Like, you never know. So my advice would just be to not stop and not be discouraged. Don't compare yourself to anyone. We're also different. So why would you want to be like anybody else? And
exactly.
yeah,
That's
do
so
you have any
true.
advice as well?
Honestly, like, do you have an hour? Because literally, like, just to put it in simple forms, I think that there's like one thing that I keep repeating and like to myself, and I have it like written down. Like one day I'm literally gonna get tattooed because it's a saying that goes like, uh, "We wake up and we breathe and we lived, and the next day we might not." And I think
Hmm.
that's so like it literally hits me because that
It's so true.
like there is so much that we can do. Like God has gifted us so much. You have the gift of writing, if you have the gift of singing, if you have the gift of playing an instrument, if you have the gift of preaching, if you have any sort of gift that God has given you, share it, because we only have today. Tomorrow is not promised. And I think that
Yeah.
is, it's such like a, it's a cliche, but it's honestly one that we need to have like tattooed on our brain. Like, just do it, like you said, do it scared. Like, do it because, you know, you are have anxiety about it. I think the things that give you the most anxiety are the things that you're supposed to be doing. And
Oof.
I think it's important that things like this, even if you're like scared to, be on camera, just do an audio. If you're scared to talk,
Right.
just do a video. Like, it's, you always have options to share what God has given you. And I think that's the beauty of it. And I also, I know that recently Evie has done a spoken word, and
Oh.
her
Put
gift
me on
of
blast.
just, yeah, put you on blast real quick. I think it's so, and again, I look up to Evie so much. She's literally my soul sister, and she's someone that I want to be. And I think her, being able to share her gift, not only like through a camera, but in a space where like it's in public, like with real people that like are face to face. I think that's something that I admire, and I think we all should look up to. And like, if you want to share a little bit about your experience with that, doing spoken word, and you know
Emily is way too kind right now. It's gonna make me cry or something.
no,
Um,
no.
I'm like, I look up to you. I love you. No, Emily's crazy. Number one, she's killing it everywhere she goes. She's not even in the state right now, so that just goes to show, she's crazy. I love you. I love you so much.
I love you more.
And I want to be you when I grow up. What are you talking about?
Stop.
But no, a spoken word is crazy. It gives me the most anxiety. I was heating up, so nervous. This was like 2 Sundays ago. And
Hmm.
I was like, I don't think I should do this. I don't know if I'm gonna do this. And then I invited everybody that I knew, and then they all came. Because I can't wait. Like, I wanted to do this, and I
Yes.
did it. I wrote it that week. I couldn't wait. But that's because when
Oh,
there's a pressing, like, I choose not. I
oh
can't.
yes.
It's like if
Yes.
someone's pulling on you and you just let them pull on you. Like, no, you're gonna want to go to where the pulling is coming from. And there's such a
Yeah.
pull for just expression. And there's such
Hmm.
a pull for me
Oh,
for
it's so good.
community. And I
Yes.
think that's why I find so much joy in things like spoken word, so much joy in things like this, um, where, which is the whole reason why we decided to start this, just
Yeah.
to get familiar with our community, with people that we
Yeah.
may know, with may not know, that have different perspectives and stories. And I love that. I love that expression
Yeah.
can come from poetry. It can come from talking and interviewing somebody, being up in their face, or just talking on the phone with them, or
Yes.
even just texting them.
Yes.
There's just so much to learn from everybody, and we all have a story.
Yeah. That's so true.
And
And I think like we both are people that like love to travel. Like that's our thing. Like we're gonna move to New York one day, and we're gonna have a little cute apartment in the middle of Manhattan. And I think that's
we're gonna see Taylor
like,
Swift.
yes, we're gonna see Taylor Swift. We're gonna perform with Taylor Swift. We're like, that's us, and I think that's so. That's why like I love us so much, like together, just because like we're both people that love to learn. Like we love to learn. We
Yeah,
love to explore, and I think that's so key for people that want to get into just the arts in general. I think you just need to want to learn. And as we're doing this podcast, and we're going to continue to upload episodes, I think that's like our main thing. We want to learn from people. We want to hear the stories from people in our own circle that we don't hear all the time. You
right.
like to hang out with friends, and we love to have fun, but sometimes we don't sit down and talk like, hey, like how is you know that joke was like, how's what was your childhood trauma, just kind of get
Right.
in deep, just out in public. But I think it's important because it is the things that make us who we are.
Exactly.
Our trauma, our stories, our relationships, our loves and our losses. I think that is what makes us people. And I think our main goal with this is to discover ourselves as people, and that's why I'm so excited to do this with you, with someone just as equally curious and loving, and I'm just so happy that we're doing this. And
I'm
so,
so excited. And I'm so
but
grateful, again, like Emily said, for all the support already because we have
yes,
only one post on our page and it
yeah,
blew up or something like that.
yeah, everyone's. But
But
is there
yeah,
anything else you want to share?
honestly, I'm really happy. I
Yes,
think we were so
yes,
nervous and it's
yes,
just it further proves that like yes you, yes you,
yes,
you
yes,
the
yes.
chosen one. Like yes you girl, yes you boy, yes, we can all do this. We can all do something that
Amen,
helps make
amen.
the world a little bit more bearable and just reminds us that we're not alone. So
Yes,
that's all I
that's
have.
so good. But we love you guys so much. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you guys check out our Yes You podcast socials and tune in every week on our Spotify for more episodes. We cannot express enough how much we love you guys and the support, and we really do want to hear from you. So, a simple DM, a simple text message from what do you want to hear, what do you want to talk about? Just let us know. We're here for you guys. This is a
Yes.
podcast for you by us. So, yeah, we love y'all.
Bye.
Bye.